Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Adam from GHL Mastery. In today's video, we're going to be talking about LC phone, how to set it up, and how to make it work. But even more importantly than just the setup, which is quite simple, we're going to show you how calls get routed inside of GoHighLevel, because there's several things that you do need to know about how calls get routed once your LC phone numbers are set up, so that you make sure that the calls get to the right people at the right time, as well as being able to use text messaging across the whole platform using LC phone. So with that being said, guys, let's dive right in. We're going to be talking about everything that you need to know about setting up LC phone. There's going to be a separate video on how to set up your A2P verification, but there's a lot to unpack in this video. So follow along. I'm going to do my best to explain everything so that you have a full comprehension and understanding of how LC phone works. Okay, so inside your sub account settings, again, we're going to go down to phone numbers, and inside phone numbers, you've got all of these tabs up top, which we're going to talk about a little bit more in detail when we talk about A2P registration. But the important part here is that if you've at the agency level already set up LC phone to be your default phone provider service, then this is turned on by default, and you can go ahead and get a phone number for any of your sub accounts that you need to get a phone number for. So what we're going to do is we're going to go and we're going to click add phone number. So we're going to add a phone number here. Now I'm in Canada, so I'm going to pick Canada, and we're going to just grab any good old Canada number that we want. Now, obviously, if you're dealing with clients that are working locally, you're going to want to get a local number. So what we're going to do here is we're going to filter by number. And I'm going to do matching. First part of the number is 587. So that's one of the local area codes here in Alberta. So I'm going to hit apply. And I'm going to try to get a number that's as close to me as possible. So I'm in Calgary. So this one looks good. I'm just going to go ahead and pick that number. These capabilities right here, if you're in other countries, be aware that some countries will only have limitations to calling and calling only. And then you'll have to get a second number that is for texting and MMS type messaging. So make sure that you take a look at these capabilities to make sure that they are the type of phone number that you need based on the company or the country that you're in. Most North American ones will do phone, text, MMS. They'll do them all. So just be aware of that. Okay, I'm going to select this number. We're going to go proceed to buy. It's going to cost me $1.15 per month to have this number in my ecosystem. So I'm going to go ahead and proceed to buy it. Now we're going to click on this configure number, and this is where things are going to start to get, I need you to pay attention here because there's a lot to unpack with these phone numbers and overall how LC phone numbers work within the ecosystem of Highlevel. Okay, so here is your phone number that you just purchased. So you can name this phone number, which is just going to be an internal naming convention that doesn't really matter. So I'm just going to say main number, and then I'm going to just copy the number here. Now, if you wanted to have this phone number specifically assigned to a user, then you could put the user's name in here, and I'll show you where that shows up once we actually save this stuff. Now, the next setting here is to pass the called number as the caller ID. Well, what does that mean? If I call your business and my phone number comes through, and then I want to get forwarded to your phone number that you're going to have set up in your call forwarding here. If you want to display this phone number on your phone when the phone number comes through, you are going to select the pass called number as caller ID. If you want the customer's phone number to display when the call gets onto your phone, you're going to uncheck this box, and it's going to pass the user's phone number along with that call forwarding. Okay, so I personally, as an agency owner, I turn this on, and then I have this phone number saved in my phone as a business call, because that way I know that if I'm out with my family or I'm watching a hockey game for my son, I'm not going to handle business phone calls while I'm out and about with my family. I'm going to leave them alone. So I want to know that this is a phone call coming from the business versus, just a random number. However, there's a lot of businesses out there that if you call them on their LC line, they're going to want to see what the customer's phone number is so that they have that call history in their phone, in which case you're going to turn this off, and they will be able to then see the caller ID of the person calling them when the call gets passed through to their mobile device. Now, there's a little bit of a caveat here, because with Highlevel, you can decide Are you using the LC mobile app? Are you using the Highlevel app? Do you want that app to ring instead of their cell phone? Yes or no? So there's a lot of different options here that come into play with this. But by default, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be setting a call forwarding number. So I'm just going to make a number up here. Not a real number, but this is going to be the call forwarding number. So anytime this phone number gets called, it is going to forward the calls to this phone number right here. Okay. Now use your verified number as a caller ID for outbound calls. Now this is something that does need to get set up to do call verification. But if you want to have your verified number as the caller ID for outbound calls, you can select this option right here. And then you would select which verified phone number you want to be the outbound caller ID for that phone number. In this case, I haven't set any of that up yet. So we're not going to do it. Enabling the call connect feature. Now this is another really important one. And this comes into play a lot more often when your clients or you don't want voicemail to hit your personal phone. Okay, so if you enable the call connect feature, that is going to require that when you answer the phone call that's being forwarded to your cell phone, that you press 1 in order to answer the call. This works really great for missed call text back because it makes sure that the call never connected in the first place. Because one thing that these voice systems cannot do very well is they cannot detect whether or not a voicemail answer was a real person or not. And so if you don't have the enable call connect feature turned on and your voicemail on your cell phone picks up, it may consider that call connected and therefore missed call text back won't work so good. So be aware of that call connect feature. I turn these on for a lot of different use cases. Next up, we've got the whisper message. Well, what is a whisper message? Basically what happens is if somebody calls this number and you pick up on your phone, it is going to play the message. Now you can do a lot of really cool things with this that probably not a lot of people will tell you about, but you can. You can use custom fields in custom values in this field. So you can have contact.name calling, right? So what this is going to do is it's dynamically going to tell you whether or not this person has a name. If the person has a name, you can assume that it's a contact that already exists inside the system. If they don't have a name, you can assume that it's a new caller. And you can use any amount of custom fields in these slots. Just to kind of give you some ideas here, I had a client years ago that wanted to know whether or not the person that's calling her phone number was a person that she had previously connected with already, or if it was a brand new lead. And so what we did is we created a custom field that when a caller booked an appointment or spoke to the client that we were talking to, we updated a custom field to say that it was an existing client. And if it wasn't an existing client, it was a new lead client. And so it would display new lead calling or existing client calling. And so she knew how to actually handle that phone call. So whisper messages can be quite handy when it comes to setting up the LC phone. Call recording is another one. Now I have to add a little bit of a caveat here. You need to know that there are different laws and different rules in different states, provinces, and countries when it comes to call recording. Do you have a single consent call recording rule, or do you have a dual consent call recording rule? The major difference here is that in Alberta, where I'm from, we have a single consent rule, which means as long as one person on the call is aware that the call is being recorded, you can go ahead and record the call. So it's kind of silly because obviously me as the caller, I know the call is being recorded. I'm allowed to record the call. It's totally legal. It's totally fine. Whereas in a two-party consent state or country or province, what you're going to end up with is that both people need to be aware that the call is being recorded. And so if that's the case, you need to make sure that you put this in here. Now, if you leave this blank, it's going to by default read this call is being recorded for quality purposes. You can put whatever you want in here to let people know that the call is being recorded. If you're part of a one-party consent state or country, you can literally just put a space right here and it's going to play no message at all, and the call will be recorded. And so that's just a little bit of a hack there. If you don't want that call recording message playing, you can just add a space into this box and there's going to be no message letting the other party know that the call is being recorded. So there is your call recording. Now, call settings. Incoming call timeout. This is actually really important and something that most people miss. By default, this phone number is going to be forwarded to this cell phone. Now, typically 20 to 25 seconds is about 3 to 4 rings, and then your cell phone's voicemail is going to pick up. So one of the conversations that we like to have with our clients is, hey, do you want voicemails left on your personal device, or would you rather have voicemails pulled back into the system where you can then go into the conversations tab and listen to voicemails and so on and so forth? So this incoming call timeout, you really need to time it properly based on the number of rings that your client's phone is going to do before voicemail picks up. So typically what I'll do here is I'll do 20 seconds. And that's going to give enough time for the call to ring the phone, but it's not typically going to go to the voicemail of the cell phone that I'm sending it to, because we want to handle the voicemail inside the CRM. Okay. With outgoing call timeout, this is obviously anytime you make a call from the system, how long do you want it to ring before the call just drops? And so typically I leave this alone, because if I'm calling somebody, I may want to just talk to them. I may want to leave a voicemail, but this is going to be an outgoing. Some people actually have phones that just ring on forever. I get to make that call in this case where I have this turned off. If you wanted to automatically have this hang up, maybe you've got callers, ISAs making phone calls for your company, you might want to turn this to, 20 seconds so that they've got 20 seconds for the call to be answered. And if it's not answered, it's going to hang up and they can move on to the next one. So that's kind of what you're going to want to do here. Now, the next setting here, the very last setting, which is the first major setting of kind of all of these different things that you can do with call routing inside of Highlevel, ring incoming call to selected users. So what you can do here is when you've got users added into this sub account, when somebody calls this number, you can have it set to ring all users at the same time. And then whoever picks the phone up, the call stops ringing to everybody else. Now, one thing that's really important is you're going to want to turn this off. If you want to have it ringing selected users, you're going to turn the call forwarding off, and you're going to turn this one on. And then again, that's just a way that it can ring absolutely everybody. So there you go, guys. That is kind of the main phone number set up inside of Highlevel. All right, guys, in this video, I'm going to cover some of the nuances about the default call routing settings when you set up an LC phone number inside of Highlevel. So again, follow along with me. I'm going to do my best to explain this, but if you're brand new to phone systems in general, this might be a little bit confusing. So let's talk about the current setup that I have that I showed you guys with this. So by default, when you set up your LC phone number to forward to a phone number. So if you have this forward calls to and you put a phone number in here, that's going to be the default setup for this phone number. Okay. And there's one thing that's going to override that, which I'll cover in a quick next little section here. But by default, if you put a phone number in here, that's the default call forward number. If you don't have a phone number in here, this is going to be your next default call routing. And so it's going to ring all users that you plug in here. So I just put myself in here, and it's now going to by default ring to that user. So that's just your default phone number settings here. Now, what happens if you don't have anything in here and you don't have a user configured in here? What's going to happen now is it's actually going to default to your business profile phone number right here. Okay, so whatever phone number you have in here is your business profile number. If there's no settings inside that phone number, it's going to default to this number here. So if you've got a client that has an office phone and that's where they want all calls to ring, then the office phone number should go in here, and then no settings in the phone number. It's going to ring this number by default. Okay, but now there's a couple of other settings that you need to be aware of, because with phone numbers, you can actually have multiple phone numbers in here that do different things. Okay, and so one of them is that you can actually have a phone number assigned to a user. So I've added myself into this demo account here, and I'm going to go and hit edit. I'm going to go to the settings, and we're going to go to call and voicemail settings. So this inbound number, I can assign this number to this user, Adam McInnes, and now all calls to that number are going to default to whatever my settings are for my user account. So for forwarding calls to, which is anytime somebody calls this number, it's going to forward to the user's phone number. So it's really, really important that your user actually has a phone number set in order to use this function. If you use my phone number, but you can turn this off and you can have it set to default to the mobile app. Okay, that means that anytime a call comes in, it's going to ring the mobile app instead of my phone number, which personally, that's one of my preferences because then I know for certain that this is a business or a work call, and I can handle it differently than I would if it was just a random friend or family member calling me. So there's the first setting right there. Default channel for ring all. So you guys remember in the phone number setup where I said ring multiple users and I would put the users in there. This is going to be the default setting for that as well. So again, I want it to ring the mobile app most of the time. And so this is going to be the default channel if you set the ring all users at the phone number settings level. Now the last one here is the IVR settings. And so Highlevel has this amazingly advanced IVR system. And if you're not familiar with what an IVR is, it's basically an auto attendant. Press 1 for this, press 2 for that, but it goes so deep. We're going to try to cover that in an IVR video later on in this training. But if a call is being forwarded to the user from the IVR, this is another area that you can set where you want this phone number to ring to. And so that's going to be the mobile app for me again. And then you're just going to make sure that you hit save and you've got the dedicated phone number for the user in this configuration. So every single time somebody calls this phone number, it is going to ring on the mobile app for that user as long as they are logged in. Okay, and then last thing is you can set your call timeouts for that user by default, and then as well as upload a recorded voicemail so that if this does end up going to voicemail because of a timeout, it's going to go to the user's voicemail, and then that voicemail is going to be left inside the conversations tab inside of Highlevel. So there's the second way that you can route the calls. And the third way that you can route the calls is through the IVR. And so I'm not going to cover that in this video. We'll cover that in a workflow IVR video later on in the course. But now you know kind of the defaults for call flows. You're going to start with the call forwarding number as the default. If there is no call forwarding number, it's going to default to the users if you have that option set up. If you don't have the users set up and you've got no call forwarding number, it is going to default to the business profile phone number. If you have the phone number then assigned to a user, like we have here, it is going to do the default for the user configuration and the user settings for that user. So there you go, guys. That is it on some of the nuances of the call flows when you're dealing with a LC number. And guys, this one's a little bit complicated. It's a little bit confusing. Set it up, play with it, see how it works, get your fingers wrapped around it, and hopefully it makes more sense to you once you actually see it in action, how this all works. And as always, guys, if you have any questions, you can email us at support.joinghlmastery.com, and we are happy to help you out. Take care. Hey guys, I hope you found that video useful and helpful for you getting your company set up in Highlevel and getting your white label started with the Highlevel ecosystem. Now, if you're just starting out your journey in the Highlevel ecosystem, or maybe you're even an intermediate, or consider yourself an expert that just wants to know a little bit more about the Highlevel platform and how you can leverage it, I would encourage you to go and click the link in the description below this video and hop into our GHL Mastery program. What do we do inside of our GHL Mastery program? Well, we have 5 calls every single day of the week, Monday through Friday, for 2 hours a day, where we actually help you get into your system, help you build, help you troubleshoot, and just overall help elevate your overall skill set on the Highlevel platform. So if you're interested in getting hands-on every single day support, plus a couple of bonus goodies, snapshots, AI systems, the like, then go ahead and click the link below to join our GHL Mastery VIP group. And I promise you, you will learn more in 1 month than you will in 6 months doing this on your own. We will see you in the next one. Take care.